Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. Oscar de la Hoya, every Thursday he does this thing called Clapback Thursday, which is a lot of fun actually. I do think the videos are quite amusing. And it's basically Oscar sort of slagging everyone off that's given him any kind of heat or lip. And he slagged off Haney and Haney's father. They're suing Golden Boy and Ryan Garcia, who is still a Golden Boy fighter. These little videos, they only last 3 minutes, 3.5 minutes, but they're quick. There's lots of fast edits and there's a lot of humor involved, and Oscar's smiling. But the real bête noire for Oscar is Eddie Hearn, and he's always on there saying, "Hello, Eddie, my friend Eddie," but he's saying you're a crap promoter. Look at all the people who your fighters have lost to, and a lot of them, some of them, he's called. He says, "Oh, well, Eddie, your fighters in the last year, you've lost 14 main events in the last year," and then he'll mention Billy Joe Saunders. Well, Billy Joe Saunders hasn't fought for 3 or 4 years or whatever it is. So sometimes he gets his facts wrong. But the point is nevertheless made. Hearn has had a terrible year in terms of his fighters losing, in main events. Obviously the 5 versus 5 against Queensbury, they got tanked in that. And, they've had a couple of wins lately, haven't they? But they're in need of definitely, this is a trough where they need to hit a peak, should we say. Well, one of the ways they can do that has been suggested by dear old Oscar, because he has suggested a 5 versus 5 Golden Boy versus Matchroom. And in this little video, this little 3.5 minute video, probably not off the cuff, it seemed like he was just riffing, but actually he obviously gave it a lot of thought beforehand. He suggested Virgil Ortiz versus Jaron Ennis, Jaime Munguia versus Diego Pacheco, William Zepeda versus Shakur Stevenson, Oscar Duarte versus Devin Haney, and the winner of Ramirez versus Barbosa to take on Jack Catterall. Now, before we go any further, Devin Haney doesn't have any promotional ties with Matchroom, so I don't know where he got that one from. But nevertheless, the point has been made. It's a good idea. He threw a potential 6th one into the pot as well. He said, "How about me and you get it on, Eddie?" Well, Oscar, I know he's put on a bit of weight, carrying a bit of extra timber, but he never went beyond 154. Eddie is like 6'4" and probably weighs about 17 stone, roughly 16.5, 17 stone. But at the same time, Oscar was a Olympic gold medalist and multi-professional world champion at different weights, and Eddie's Eddie, isn't he? But Eddie has said, "I'll take him on. Put the money on the table. It's got to be a serious 8 figures or whatever." You're pricing yourself out, Eddie. Come on, be honest, mate. But anyway, getting back to the serious stuff, I suppose that one could go on Misfits, couldn't it? Or one of those, YouTuber influencer bloody things or whatever the hell they call them. Yeah, I think it's a good idea, and I think it would be a great way for Hearn and Matchroom to sort of regather a bit of lost momentum, because they have had a rough time of it. And Eddie says, "Look, we're putting our fighters in with tough people, so inevitably, you stand a chance of losing." And as you know, if you've watched this channel before, I don't care about defeats. I think defeats can be learning experiences, so long as they're not horrendous defeats, like, for example, Haney getting smashed to bits by, supposedly juiced up Ryan Garcia, or Spence taking a horrendous battering from Terence Crawford. I mean, those are things that shorten your career, those types of beatings. But if you lose, Ray Ford lost to Nick Ball in the 5 versus 5, lost away for thin decision. He's still a great fighter, great little fighter with a huge future. Defeats, I'm not interested in this fetish for the 0 that people have. But getting back to the 5 versus 5, Hearn has accepted the challenge, but he's sort of amended the 5. He said that his dream 5 versus 5 card would be Boots Ennis against Ryan Garcia. And Garcia, of course, is serving that year ban for being a naughty little scamp. Shakur Stevenson against William Zepeda. Stevenson has yet to fight for Matchroom, but I believe has a 2-fight deal. Zepeda is a stalwart of Golden Boy. Yeah, good matchup. Israel Madrimov versus Virgil Ortiz. Very interesting. Very interesting. Do you know what? I might favour Matchroom in that, to be honest with you. But anyway, I'm not going to make any solid predictions at the moment, of course, because these are just pie-in-the-sky fights. Jaya Pataya against Gilberto Ramirez. That's interesting as well. That's interesting. And Jack Catterall against Jose Ramirez. Again, another good fight. I mean, I think Eddie's 5 are, very... I think they're more realistic than... I don't know. Thinking about... A few of Oscars are cool. But... yeah, I mean, whichever permutation you go with, I like the idea of a 5 versus 5. I like these 5 versus 5 things. There's another Matchroom versus Queensbury one coming up, and that's going to be cool as well. And but this one, why not do it? Why not do these cross promotional things? Why not throw Top Rank into the mix? I mean, the promoters have got to deal with it. They've got to agree to it. But with all these promises of, oh, it's so great that Turki Al-Sheikh has come along, and he's going to. It's kind of an open secret that Al-Sheikh is going to choose DAZN as the only platform for the Riyadh fights, and now Warren's on board with DAZN and blah 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 blah. We constantly hear this. It's great for boxing. Don't worry about monopolies and all that, or too much concentration. It isn't a monopoly. I mean, it's a long way off being a monopoly, but nevertheless, there is an increased concentration of power into one place, which is always a bad thing, because you want checks and balances. You want, you want rival factions, who do come together, but. Suddenly we get this, it's all under one roof, therefore it's going to be like a Narnia, it's going to be like a utopia, boxing utopia. No, it won't be. It's great now, but long term, there are pitfalls that boxing could fall into. But anyway, I've done videos on that subject previously, and I'm not going to go into it. I do like the idea, though, of the 5 versus 5. So why not, if we're getting this great utopia for boxing, why not bring Top Rank on board? Have a 5 versus 5, have a joint promotional thing. I've always been, like most people, I've always been in favour of cross-promotional or joint promotions, cross-promotional, the coming together of different platforms, whether it's, I don't know, Sky Sports and DAZN, no problem, bring them together, bring the different promoters together. That's a great thing, obviously. So long as you do have the checks and balances in place, whereby the power is distributed. When you get a concentration of power, it's never a good thing, not long term anyway. It creates this bubble, and bubbles eventually burst. Economic bubbles always burst. They get fatter and fatter. Keep blowing the air into them and suddenly pop. It's all over. But anyway, Hearn's card. Again, Boots Ennis versus Garcia, Shakur against Zepeda, Madrimov against Ortiz, Opataya versus Ramirez, Catterall versus Jose Ramirez, Opataya versus Gilberto Ramirez, and Catterall versus Jose Ramirez. Yeah, I love that. I really love that, and I hope it comes off. But if you haven't seen Oscar's Clapback Thursdays, go and have a look, because they're a lot of fun. He's got crazy than a box of frogs in the old Oscar, but he knows boxing, and he stayed in that promotional game, which is cutthroat, for a long, long time now. So he must be doing something right. He's got that fighter's mentality, probably. Anyway, let me know what you think. What do you think of those potential matchups? What do you think of the cross-pollination? 5 versus 5, I love it, but let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Please hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, because it helps us out a great deal. And if you could subscribe to the channel, we'd appreciate that too. Thank you very, very much, ladies and gentlemen, and bye for now.